Right, thank you very much. And that's William Evans Nkrumah, Northern Bureau Chief. He's giving up updates on the Kumu by-election. Now, move on to some other stories. And the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has criticized Ghana's free senior high school policy as poorly targeted, although it has increased enrollment. IMF made the observation in a country report released ahead of the approval of the country's $3 billion bailout. Now, the flagship free senior high school program covers the full cost of secondary education. The report added that key identified areas of potential improvement of education spending include strengthening primary education resources, better teacher training, and stronger performance-based funding practices. Ghana spends close to 4% of GDP on education, with good results in terms of enrollments, but poor learning outcomes, the report indicated. We're staying on this issue, and education-related civil society organizations claim that the IMF's assessment of the free senior high school policy supports their long-held criticism of the government strategy. An education or executive director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare, requests that government makes sure the program is properly reviewed to avoid undue neglect of basic education.
Why government is afraid to touch the program is because of the political cost, and so the fund's intervention would have been, the best way to manage this. Unfortunately, government has indicated quite clearly to the fund that it is not ready to touch the free senior high school in the way it is. The IMF will also not tell you where to cut, but it will tell you to cut or rationalize your expenditure in relation to your revenue. So our government has decided that they will keep cutting other lines, including basic education budget lines, so that the free senior school program will be preserved. And so it's unfortunate that a golden opportunity has been missed. I will not talk about the free senior school because I know it's not going to happen, you understand, for political reasons. But my concern about the free senior high school is born out of the fact that invariably, whatever happens there affects basic education. The more we spend funds in a wholesale manner without cost efficiency, the more we deprive basic education of adequate funding. And so I see a window of opportunity for basic education in the midterm budget that the finance minister will read. He has an opportunity to redeem the cuts that were made to the basic education budget in the 2023 budget. We want to see capitation grants being fully funded after being cut by almost 85%. We want to see feeding grants to special schools being restored, not to pre-2023 levels, but being restored to levels that are consistent with the inflationary trends of a time.
On education now, and following the recent rainstorm tragedy in the Tampines district of the Upper East region, learning is taking place in classrooms without roofs. Others are forced to study outside or under trees. Meanwhile, the Tampines District Assembly says that it is unable to gather the necessary funds to replace the roofs of the damaged school buildings.
Elementary and junior high schools were impacted by the Sunday, May 7 rainstorms in the Tampines district. The rainstorm also causing 1 fatality, 7 injuries and extensive damage to homes, businesses, warehouses and other structures. On Friday, May 12, all the impacted schools continue to conduct instruction and learning in classrooms without roofs. Teachers claim that contact hours are significantly impacted because the sun becomes too hot for them to sit in after 10 a.m.
Normally, we have to move, when it's getting in the afternoon, we have to move the children out from the classroom to other classes so that we make them, which is not making teaching and learning effective for us.
It has not been easy since then. It's getting to 2 weeks now. So we are appealing to the general public. If we are able to get this structure fixed back, learning will continue to go on as usual.
The inspection tour was led by the district chief executive for Tampines, Isaka, in Abida. He described the situation as worrying, but was quick to add that the assembly is not in the position to roof the damaged classroom blocks.
There are some of the roofs, if we don't do something immediately, there may be another storm and it will be very dangerous. But looking at what has happened, as an assembly, we will not be able to have the resources to roof these classrooms. So I'm appealing to bodies that will be capable to come in to support us solve this problem.
The district chief executive also paid a visit to some injured children who are in need of assistance to pay their medical fees. The district education director for Timpani, Nashiru Anafo, appealed for external support to reduce the burden.
About 8 of our schools being ripped off. And at this time of the year that we are now we are entering the rainy season, if help does not come timelessly for us to re-roof them, the children will be at the mercy of the weather.
The district NADMO director, Asana Adam, has in the meantime urged locals to grow trees to serve as windbreaks to protect their properties.
We saw that some of the houses that were able to plant trees behind their houses, those houses were protected a bit. So as we go around, we'll make sure we carry out education on tree planting so that it can help protect the environment and the houses that the people are living in.
Now, away from education, the National Fire Service is advising the public to step up fire safety precautions. Now, the Director of Public Relations, Timothy Osafo-Efum, was reacting to the Sunday fire incident at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra.
This is one of 10 fire incidents in the capital on the 21st of May 2023. A day after the incident, it's a busy day here after the fire consumed over 55 shops. But not for the traders to make money. It is a busy day for them to count how much they have lost and to clean up. An emotional day. Finally coming to terms with the loss and beginning to think of how to bounce back. The fire is reported to have started at about 1 p.m. on Sunday, destroying several shops and products worth thousands of cedis. Dr. Zofori and some other affected traders just do not know where to turn.
I could not salvage anything from my 3 shops.
It's almost 40-something thousand, and all of them is inside. We have lost a lot of money to the fire.
For some other eyewitnesses, the poor turnaround time by the National Fire Service, which has a fire station a few meters away from the scene of the incident, was heartbreaking.
Fire service phone.
When they came, they told us that they did not have water.
We were the ones who climbed on the shop to pour water on the flames.
I can't fathom why our shops could be consumed when there is a fire station close by.
However, Director of Public Relations of the Ghana National Fire Service, ACFO Timothy Osafo-Efum, insists their claims are unfounded.
This is just ranting from the public. Anytime fires get out of hand, the first thing they say is that we came without water. There's no fire tender that will move to an incident scene without water. You saw water flowing on the ground. So if we came without water, what was that water coming from?
According to him, the service in the raining season, unlike the perception of many, records many fire outbreaks.
Per our records, it is when it is raining that we record a lot more fire incidents outside Harmattan season.
A disaster for the traders, but an opportunity for those contracted to help restore the place.
I am working to make some money from them. Hopefully, we will make 50 cedis each after cleaning.
A worrying observation, however, was those usually referred to as junkies feasting on the remains of the affected products, paying no attention to possible effects on their health. There were no casualties and the cause of the fire is yet to be established. The Kwame Nkrumah Circle, a name synonymous with flood disasters and fire disasters. It remains to be seen whether this will be the last.
Now, Ghana has received a mobile laboratory facility at the Kotoka International Airport to help with the disease control and management at the country's ports of entry. The gesture from the United Nations Development Programme and the Japanese government is part of the $2 million project to strengthen community healthcare.
3 other labs will be commissioned at points of entry into the country, including Paga, Aflao and Elubu. The facility has a main lab for various case testing and management, polymerase chain reaction PCR, sluice and phlebotomy rooms, kitchenettes, changing rooms and washrooms.
We built 4 of these with the support of Government of Japan and cooperation with Ghana Health Service. And these points of entry would allow to check the potential basically threats if there are any illnesses or diseases, and prevent them from coming into the country, because prevention actually costs significantly less than addressing the pandemic or big problem.
The $2 million projects will include the construction of community health planning and services CHIPS facilities in some underserved areas to strengthen community health systems.
Not only this mobile laboratory at the Kotoka International Airport, but the other 3 points of borders will contribute to all important endeavors and efforts by the government of Ghana in the health field.
Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje, is optimistic the facility will augment existing infrastructure in disease surveillance.
We knew that our port of entry was a problem. If your neighbor is not controlling a disease very well, you'll be affected, because the people just walk in from the neighboring country into your country with a disease. And so we needed to build strong capacity at our port of entry, that is the airports and the land borders. And that is why this is the first of many labs that are going to be at Elubu, going to have one at Flao and then Paga, so that in addition to being able to test for people who need to be tested, not just for COVID, but for any other condition that may crop up.
The facility is open for other tests other than ports referred cases.
Now let's do some international stories now. A tribunal in Nigeria has refused to allow live television broadcasts of an opposition challenge to Bola Tinubu's victory in February's fiercely contested presidential elections. Now lawyers for defeated candidates Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi argued that it was in the public interest for the hearings to be broadcast live, but 5 judges unanimously turned down their request. The mayor's sentimental claim that live broadcast will benefit the voters has no utilitarian value on the matters before the court. Justice Haruna Chamani, who handed down the ruling, is quoted by Nigerians' Daily Trust newspaper as saying, now the ruling is a victory for Tinubu and the Electoral Commission as they argued against proceedings being broadcast live. Abubakar and Obi are trying to annul Tinubu's victory, alleging that the poll was marred by irregularities. And that's all for the news here on TV3. My name is Judith Awatri Tando, but of course, Roland, Bella, and Cookie are with me in the studio for the rest of New Day. Good morning.